Hello everyone, I'm Tim from Tim's PC, and I build custom PCs to suit anyone's needs or budget. Also live stream my builds and repairs for transparency and educational purposes. So if you would like to get an awesome new PC and you'd like to see it get put together live, send me a message today. Alright, so we're back tonight with another live PC build. So tonight we're building, I hope I'm saying his name right, Giorno's PC. I hope I'm saying his name right. If I'm saying your name wrong, please correct me. I don't like to continually mispronounce someone's name. Got Caleb here. Hey Caleb, how you going? Haven't seen you for a while, man. And Rodney's back. We're live this morning with a couple of little odd jobs. What's up?
Well, hello everyone, Tim and
It's Christine. Christine is the lady behind the camera. Awesome, man. Yeah, Fred just got his PC back today. He was keen as to pick it up. Got it first thing in the morning. His PC. So. Yeah, great, man. Busy as with tax time and everyone wanting their new PCs and all that, but you know, getting through it. So yeah, so we got a 3080 Ti rig here tonight. So bit of fun. Everyone loves the high-end ones, of course. So let's start with the RTX 3080 Ti. So we've got the Eagle OC RTX 3080 Ti. This is a triple fan card. So it has the it's not, if you're familiar with the Eagle in the 3070 or the 3060 Ti, that card only has the 2 fans. This has the full 3 fans here, because I think you really need that as a minimum for 3080.
So makes us go less tax time.
Yes, absolutely.
Looks expensive.
Looks like an expensive build. Yeah, it's decently expensive. It's about the mid-4s, I believe. So, yeah, it's getting up there. How much for you to build a PC for me, bro? Send me a message. I don't know what you want. Obviously, yeah, really depends what you want. There's pretty much every PC I build is different in some way. So we'll put that card down there and we'll talk about the rest of it. So we've got an i7 10700KF. This is excellent value for money, this CPU right now. So you can pick this up. This is an 8-core 16 thread CPU, and you can pick this up for around the same price as a Ryzen 5600X. So if you wanted to have a more of a balanced CPU that had that little bit of extra multi-thread performance, this is a really good option here. So we've got we've got 32 gigabytes, 2 kits of 16. This is Silicon Power 3200 megahertz CL16 memory. We've got our Asus Prime Z590p Wi-Fi motherboard. So this comes with onboard Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.1. Oh yeah, it's going to be beautiful.
Caleb wants to know if you're from Sydney.
I'm not from Sydney. I know Sydney very well because my family lives down there. But I'm in Brisbane, but we ship nationwide. It doesn't cost a lot of money to ship a PC down to Sydney. It's
right,
no.
At the moment, people are getting their PCs within 4 days.
Yeah, in Sydney, it's usually 2 days. Yeah, and yeah, typical PC, something big like this. This is probably more like $45, but like a smaller micro ATX case, that's probably closer to $35. Just to give you an idea, roughly what shipping costs to Sydney. So all of our shipping is signature on delivery, registered parcel post. So they can't just leave it at your door or anything like that. They have to actually get the signature from you. If you're not there, it gets taken to the local post office or distribution center for you to collect. So yeah, no issues selling to people in Sydney. I do it all the time. So we've got a single Cooler Master Sickle Flow RGB fan here for the back of our case. We've got a 1TB Seagate hard drive here. Got a 500GB Crucial P1 NVMe SSD. Got a 750 watt Cooler Master 80 plus rated power supply. Puts out 744 watts on the 12 volt rail. Yep. No worries, have a good one. Alright, also got the Cooler Master 240W, so that's going to be keeping our CPU cool. So that pretty much sums everything up, other than the Cooler Master TD550, is it? Mesh in white. I believe that's the model of this case. In the TD550 mesh.
TD500 mesh.
TD500 mesh. Don't know where I got the 550 from. My brain just invented it. Alrighty. So, let's get started. So I'll put all this stuff there and let's have a look at this motherboard.
So pretty.
Winter is actually Giorno. So I think I'm saying his name right. Correct me if I'm wrong. But this is his PC. He changed his name on Facebook today and he sent me a message saying, "Oh, by the way, this is Giorno." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, thanks for that," because I would have been like really confused. Okay, so we get some M2 screws here. We get our Wi-Fi antenna. Some more M2 screws. We have an I/O shield here. And we've got our motherboard. Alright. No plastic everywhere. No. Very good. So no plastic everywhere, so that's nice to see. So, I'll point out the features of this motherboard. So we have 12 pins of CPU power right up the top here. So it's good to know there's not going to be any issues overclocking on this motherboard. Got some nice direct touch processors. And it looks like we have a total, we've got 12 phase power delivery here. Looks like. Yep. We've got obviously our LGA 1200 socket here. This is for our, this is compatible with Intel 11th gen as well, because this is the Z590, not the Z490. We've got two sneaky fan headers up here above this heatsink. So one for CPU and one for CPU optional, or AIO pump it's labelled. Then we've got these four slots for 4 modules of memory. 2 slots are one channel and 2 slots are a second channel. And the CPU can communicate with both channels at the same time. So when we've only got 2 sticks of memory, we put one stick in channel 1 and 1 stick in channel 2. Around here we have a 12 volt and 5 volt RGB header. 24 pins ATX power. This is the main power for everything else on our motherboard. Got our USB 3 up the top here, which is what I like to see because I can conceal the chunky USB 3 cable with the power supply cable. We've got USB-C here as well. Do we have C on this case? No, we don't have C on this case, so we won't be using that one. Down the bottom here we have a sneaky 12 volt RGB header here. We have 4 SATA ports in the vertical orientation. Then what have we got down here? So we got COM port debug pins, clear CMOS. Then we have our fan headers, front panel connection. We've got a single fan header here, so that is only a total of 3 so far, from here to here. Got another USB 3.0 there, we won't be using that one. We've got 2 USB 2s, we've got our COM port here, because we had our COM port debug pins there. Then we've got trusted platform module, looks like. Yep. And fan header number 4. Then we've got a 5 volt RGB header down here, this little white thing. And we've got our front panel audio here as well. And so we've got our audio capacitors. This is our CMOS battery, obviously. Got our Wi-Fi, so our Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.1 card there. We've got our audio connections. We've got 4 USB 3.2s, including 1 Type-C. We've got, I think it's 2.5 gigabit Ethernet on this board. Yes, it is. We've got DisplayPort and HDMI. Neither of these will be in use because we have an F series CPU, so we don't have the onboard graphics. So I might even put a couple of plugs in them right now. So when I put these plugs in, I can put the I/O shield on over them, and then they're kind of hard to take out because you shouldn't be using this. You shouldn't be trying to plug into these anyway. If I can get it the right way around, maybe. There we go. And finally we got 2 USB 2.0s and our PS2 port there. Then all we haven't spoken about is just this stuff in the middle. So we have our first fan header up here. So that's number 5 for the board, and that's it. There's no other fan headers on this board. So that's one thing to watch out for. If you do have a lot of fans, make sure you have splitters or an independent fan controller, because 5 is probably not going to be enough fans for someone who was building with this board with a K-series Intel chip. We've got 3 M2 slots, so triple M2, which is excellent to see. We've got our PCIe X16 slot here. We've got an X4 slot here that's X16 length, and then we've got 2 X1 slots down here. And then our Z590 is under this heatsink over here. And that pretty much sums up the main features of this motherboard.
Nice looking board.
Yeah,
I like it.
I thought so. And it was a good price. Alright, so
How much that board was?
it was, I think it was 199 or something.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's pretty good for what it is. I was looking at it and I was like, oh, triple M2, and yeah, sweet. 199. I'm sure someone will be very happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, you can upgrade to any of the Intel 11th gen chips if you want in time.
All the other ones, YouTube and Facebook is fine, but Twitch keeps like dying.
Does it? Yeah.
Maybe there's heaps of people trying to stream
Probably.
Twitch and their servers being overloaded.
Everyone
Just
wants
got
to be a
shields here
streamer.
as well.
Everyone wants to be a streamer. Alright, so what we're going to do for our boot drive here, we are going to put that in this middle M2 slot because it's going to be covered up by our graphics card. Ah, thanks man, appreciate it. So, we'll put this M2 drive into this slot here, and the reason is because it's going to be hidden by our graphics card, and because it's our boot drive, it's generally the one that you don't touch. So it'll leave you with the ability to plug in to 2 other M2 slots. So you can use this top one here, or you can use this bottom one there as well. So you've got 2 additional M2 slots that you can use. Oh, and they didn't install that last offset under here. I'm going to install that for you. So much easier when you want to make upgrades. Now we'll just screw that last one in. There we go. We've got our M2 drive installed, and we've got our M2 screws installed. Well, actually, we don't have the bottom screw installed. We've got the offset installed. And I know that because there was another screw on the table. Oh. Alright, what's next on the list? CPU. So our Intel K series CPUs don't come with coolers. Alright, so I want to lift this flap up here. So on our LGA sockets, or land grid array sockets, these ones have the pins inside the socket, and the CPUs just have these touch pads on them.
Tim Christie. Hey Pete.
Hey Pete, how you going, man? Good to have you here. So because the pins are in the socket, we've got to be very careful putting our CPU in. I get it as close to the socket as I can and let it drop in. Go. I'm going to put that down, close the flap over, and just keep this in your motherboard box. Now we've got our CPU ready to go. So now we've got this memory.
It's open. Oh, you come in both of them.
Yeah. This is... No, there were other scissors around here. Here they are.
What's in front of you?
I got halfway down. Destructive entry. I just don't know who they're trying to keep out of these things. I want to go to the store that has these like hung up on a hanger.
Has anyone been to a store like that? Please let us know.
I don't think it exists in Australia. So nice and easy with 4 sticks of memory, we can just start at one side and work our way to the other side. We don't have to think about which slot to use first or any of that kind of stuff. all irrelevant. And when there's a bit of writing on the top of the dims, you can just line up the writing. One can go, is this halfway down or not? Yeah, like this is way too just displayed on a hanger in a retail store.
Pretty sure it would. Tim, I want to
What?
know, will 2500 get me a decent gaming streaming PC?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it will. Yeah, prices are good. Prices are good.
Send Tim a message.
Yeah.
They constantly, what's the most expensive PC you own?
Probably
Was it
the
like
probably the
10?
probably the Threadripper workstation with the 3 graphics cards and the 128 gigs of RAM and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that thing needed to run projector.
Yeah. Five 4K projectors in mosaic. So that means like the 4 screens are split. So like they'll split it between the they'll split like a video stream between the 5 different screens and display like 1/5 coming out of each display output. So it's like, yeah, it's pretty insane
Has he
setup.
sent you any like footage? Because I told you to get him to like,
No, but he keeps in contact. He has a problem and stuff. I help him work
next
through
time
it.
you talk to him, I want to see it in action.
I've just been busy, so I haven't just gone and said. Last I was speaking to him, he was having a few dramas getting Mosaic to work. Even Nvidia couldn't give him a clear answer as to exactly how to configure it because they hadn't done exactly that before.
No.
So they were like, this should
You
work
even
for you.
contacted them before
Yeah.
he got you to build
Yeah,
the PC.
yeah. He contacted Nvidia before, so he knew what he wanted. Knew what he wanted to do. Just needed someone to do it.
So,
Yeah.
this is great so far.
Yeah. No. Great. Glad you're enjoying it.
Convince the wife first. Well, tell her it'll look pretty, with, colours and stuff, and we'll probably get her over the line.
Yeah. Just show us some of the pretty ones on my page. We got some pretty ones. Hey Alex, how you going? Good to have you with us. Alright, we've got this big bag of nonsense. Check this out. So we've got all this stuff here to sort through. So I don't want them. Don't need that. I don't need that. I need that. I need that. I want that. I'll probably use that. That comes in handy. Need that. Don't need thermal paste. So the problem when you do it yourself is if you don't do it all the time, you're stuck looking at all this stuff and going, do I need this? Do I need that? Alrighty.
Make her happy.
Yes, that generally goes well. Okay, so we've got 3 little holes that these screws can fit into. And we want to go in the middle hole. It's like play school, you know, you're looking through the windows. We're going to look through the round window.
I like an arch window.
But I'm putting a round thing on the round screw, so we're doing the round window today.
No.
Oh, none of these hold very well. Hopefully they hold well enough. It's not in terms of the sturdiness, it's just these little plastic washers that insulate the plate from the back of the motherboard. They have these little washers kind of hold the bolts in place, and they don't have much force holding them on. They're not very tight. They're usually a lot tighter. And if they're too loose, like, it's very hard to do what I'm doing when the bolts fall out all over the ground. So these are like just tight enough to hold these bolts. Oh, and we've got one good one that actually holds nice and solid. Alright, so now we've got our backplate prepped for LGA 1200 and various other Intel boards. We can go and slot that on the back there. Yeah.
Space Boy wants to know heating. Just wondering what $2,000 would get you.
$2,000. So around $2,000 you could get something, you know, probably with a 3060 or 3060 Ti these days. Yep.
Is that cheap?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I can get 3060 Ti from 1100 actually. So yeah, 3060 Ti's, $1,100. Okay. So we'll get these all sorted. That should be right. If you just get the opposite corners screwed in, and it becomes really easy to screw the others in. Except when they didn't cut the hole nice. But you get that. Okay, so we've got these little plastic feet that go down over these bolts. These are partially for aesthetics and partially to prevent over-tightening of the cooler. Okay. Just pull those bolts through as much as I can. Alright, so now I think I have done myself a mischief. I have. Or can I? Nah, not doing that. Take like 60 seconds. Just swap them over. We'll position our cooler like this. So we're going to make sure that this cable runs behind. Have I lost one? And here's one I prepared earlier. It's probably just rolled under. That's why I have spares. There, so just sort of thumb tighten them. A nice opposite corners. So you should feel these bolts get to a point where they don't want to turn anymore. You should feel that. Get to that point, then go down and just, I mean, ideally you'd use a torque wrench and get it all exact, but I'm just going to do it by hand there. But you want to be doing equal amount of force because you want the cooler block to be tied down nice and evenly over the cooler. You don't want the others loose because then it's really tight down on that corner and then it's looser, not making good contact around the other corners. So the trick is even amounts of torque down on the board there. So if you really want to get exact, get the old torque wrench out. And we'll just run these cables up behind here. So we've got a pump. I usually power the pump with this Molex We've got our RGB there for our cooler block, that's fine. We've got, so we need 2, 3, so 6 fans. We've got 5 fan headers here. We will probably put this splitter onto this one here, and I'm pretty sure we've got, I think we've got either we've got a fan controller back there or something else we can work out, but that should be fine for powering our motherboard. So let's turn our attention now to the case. So I've got a single RGB fan to go in there, and no, I will need the screwdriver. These bolts can be a bit tight from factory, but easy to just thumb tighten. And so these panels here, they lift off. There's a little lip at the bottom that slides on, so you don't break it. And the back panel just slides off pretty generically there. We've got a full Cooler Master with this. It's not by choice, I'm not like in bed with Cooler Master or anything, I'm not motivated to. I am motivated by price. So when I see something where I can get someone a good deal, I'll buy that. As long as it's not shit.
And Cooler Master make good stuff.
Yeah, Cooler Master. The Cooler Master's been around for a long time. Like they make some cheaper stuff, but they also make some, just like all brands. There's very few brands that are just like 100% budget these days. They're into all segments. Just some of them are more famous in certain segments than others. Samsung have their own budget line of SSDs, but they're more famous for their high-end, like 980 Evo Pros and stuff like that. So that's one to, you know, one example
why
there.
people buy just as good.
Now we've got a pre-installed 3-to-1 splitter here, which we can plug in from one of these fan headers down the bottom. So that's perfect. We have our fans all sorted. As for our RGB, we'll be able to hook up. We've already got this RGB splitter installed, and that's, oh, let's just detangle that. So that's plugged into our fans there, and that goes to this 3-pin there. So I'm going to plug that into, in there, and I'm going to tape that up now, just get it out of the way. Yeah. Well, Cooler Master is one of the 2 companies that actually make AIO liquid coolers. So they're one of the ones that actually build them, that other people put their brands on. So yeah, if someone's like, when it comes to all-in-one liquid coolers, there's basically 2 companies that make them. One's called Acertech, and the other one is the Cooler Master. So when you buy a cooler, it's coming out of like 2 factories basically. Doesn't matter what brand you buy. There are a couple of exceptions, but in general, for the vast majority, that's the case. Like, you know, Corsair doesn't have a factory making Corsair coolers. It's just, That's not how it goes. Neither does Thermaltake. You know, they don't have a factory to make all-in-one liquid coolers.
Why is that?
Well, because it's a very specific product that you're building, so it has some specialized equipment to build them, and you want to have companies that have, like, you want there to be a level of consistency and reliability.
Yeah, you
No
don't
one,
want it to be leaking.
yeah, no one wants, if you're a company, say put your Thermaltake brand on a cooler that's going to leak, right? Nah, you want like solid guarantees that every unit coming out is really good quality, and that's sort of how the two manufacturer paradigm begins. Because instead of having heaps of manufacturers and lots of different tools, you've got two solid processes that work from manufacturers who are set up to build these things. So that works out good for everyone because no one gets burned, or fewer people get burned. There's always going to be problems, right? Okay, so we've got the splitter here that came with our cooler, and what we're going to do is, so that'll just plug into the RGB header on our motherboard. We've got one end plugged into these Cooler Master fans, and the other end we're going to plug into these, and we've got daisy chainable fans with these Silverstone fans. So from one RGB plug on the motherboard to 2 to 6. That is essentially the situation there with our RGB. Alright, so what we'll do, we'll tie up these cables so that they're as discreet as possible at the front of the case there. Go. So we've got our hard drive installed there. So here we'll get our power supply in the case, and we'll sort out our cables, what we need and what we don't need. Oh yes, a very polarizing card indeed. You either like it or you think it's hot trash. That's how it goes.
I think it's amazing.
I think I even said my wife would like it in the discussion that I had with the rest of the guys about it.
I just looked up white graphics cards because I want to upgrade at some stage.
I think I'll made it Simple Sim PCs down in Victoria. He was like, yeah, he described it as hot trash. What's that? Alrighty. Fit our power supply. There we go. Now we've got this big wad of cables here, so we'll sort through all that. So we are definitely going to need this bad boy here. That's our motherboard power. And we're going to need this one here. This is for our CPU. And we're going to need 2 PCIe ones. And then for the rest, I kind of only need one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie all of these cables down here. And we're going to stash them away, and we just leave this one little cable out here which we can plug in to our power supply. There we go. And there's some other cables, little connections just sort of sticking out the end there, so if we need to plug into any of them, they're easily accessible as well. And so these are the cables that we do need. She really wants this car. Can you get it in 3060?
Oh, I don't know.
Why don't you look up the Game Rock OC palette with just copy the title and just change it to 3060. What do we got here? Oh yeah, one of those things. Alrighty, so here is our single flow fan.
No, it comes in 3080. 3060. It's 1450. I really just on that. But I really wanted to tell you. What do I want more? Tattoo and graphics card. Go. Run these cables out the back, up the top here.
Just like that. There we go. So we're now ready to get our motherboard in the case. So, I'm going to lie this down for just a second. And we have standard offsets. Yep. Oh no. This is the slightly smaller form factor, and there's no 7. That's okay. We'll get our IO shield on and everything else. Go. Alrighty. Yep, that all looks good. Alright, so now just make sure these cables up the top. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Big buddy.
It's probably because we weren't home last night, so he's like, oh. He's come up, he's like, hey, come here.
Alrighty. So I just realised, getting ahead of myself. I am yet to finish fastening this motherboard.
Is that liquid cooling?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, so this is an all-in-one liquid cooler. So these come as factory sealed units. They require no maintenance. They last between 3 and 5 years. They don't leak, the pump stops working and it's not serviceable. So that's what that is. And so all it is, it's sort of like a radiator on your car. The pump is over the CPU block there, pumps water through this radiator, the fans cool the radiator down, and the cool water flows back over the CPU. So even though it's a liquid cooler, it's still ultimately being cooled by air. get this radiator mounted and we can get everything hooked up. There's always one. There we go. Can't see much in the way. Wrong. Nah. We want it to look nice and clean fundamentally. Okay. For starters, I'm going to use this splitter here. I'm going to plug in these two fans. I'll probably just tie these off quickly. Go. And just sort of stash them up there. Then we've got this RGB. So remember, we've already done a bit of work with the RGB. Let's just untangle some of this stuff. Power, RGB. Okay. Or this allows us to plug in different RGB devices. The reason why we need this is because there's no daisy chain on this. That's actually a different plug for a different type of connection, so that's not a daisy chain. So we have to plug this into something, and then we can't send the power on from there. So we need to use this splitter. The output goes to 2, and we've got all these other RGB devices, all this stuff over here. These can all be hooked up. These can all be hooked up and daisy chained together on the other line. So all we need to do is actually have it connected properly. And a good time to plug these in as well at the same time. So these can plug in at the bottom. Plug the fans in here. Now 5-watt RGB is just down here. There is another one. Okay, so we've got our fans and we've got some of our RGB plugged in. So now, let's create a daisy. So we'll plug into our back fan here. It's a decent tight connection there. And then we've got another one here. So connect that. We'll want to tape that up. And number 3. So we've got a total of 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And they plug in to the other end of our splitter here. Okay, got that all hooked up. Plug this into small X cable, and then we just stash that away. Just tie them up there. Should be pretty good. And we'll get these tied up as well. This will be a very clean build, this one. Okay, so we've got all of our RGB and all of our fans hooked up. So now, all that's left is our front panel connectors and our power. So, for our front panels, Okay, so let's get these front panel connectors on. There we go. And RTX power cable. There we go. And now all we've got left is I'm going to chuck in some white cables here. I'm feeling philanthropic. We're going to utilise slots 2 and 3 here for our graphics card. Alrighty. Time for our RTX 3080 Ti. The main ingredient in our gaming PC. Look at that. Hello to the eagle. Alrighty. We're gonna put our card in now. There we go. The eagle has landed. Yep, absolutely, mate. Now let's just hope we don't have any faulty parts and it all just works as good as it looks. I mean, there's nothing to stress about if there's faulty parts because it's, yeah, I don't buy stuff from like, you know, some dodgy place where there's no returns or anything like that. I can get returns on anything that's faulty, so it's no big deal. It just means that it's like delays you getting your computer. Because unless you want me to ship you out the computer without a key part, aren't too keen for that. Just in my experience, they prefer to get their PCs when they work. Okay. Let us plug in some HDMI.
Sure.
That was a compliment. And we're posting. No signal. Yeah.
Makes sense. Looks awesome.
Yeah, so why aren't I seeing a display output? Okay. Ah! That'll do it. I thought I clipped them in perfectly. Apparently not. There we go. Plug in my Windows USB. I'm going to enable the XMP profile. And save and exit. Aspect ratio looks up the shit, mate. Yeah, I think it's outputting in 720p, probably because I'd say it's probably just to do with the BIOS on this board, maybe. It's just how it's running the card in compatibility mode without drivers. Okay. Got our 500GB SSD. She looks the goods. And yeah, I'll probably just... I will probably just run this SATA cable like this. Yeah.
Makes sense on fix.
Oh, really?
What? Did you have the wrong end?
No, it's not. They're not. These SATA ports are orientated. Like what I would call upside down. Alright, let's keep this moving. Oh shit. change that later. Alrighty, now you can have access to the internet. Okay. So let's set up that 1 terabyte hard drive. There we go, there's our hard drive. I just want to wait for this armory crate to do its thing because it so often stuffs up. Alrighty, I'll set up this Wi-Fi antenna. Thanks, Meg. Yeah, no, it came up really nice. go. Nothing can ever go easy for me, eh? Have a nice straightforward build, and then it's got stuff up like this. And my SSD is downstairs. I think I've got the uninstall tool. Here's our graphics card driver. Here we go. Looks like all we need. Okay. No plastic on the back. Alrighty, I want to see what my wife is doing. Okay, that's nearly done. Okay, that's all up to date. It's got a graphics card driver update. Apparently my driver's slightly out of date, but they release new updates all the time, so you get that. Okay, so what's all this stuff I installed here? I'll go through it quickly. So this one here, hardware monitor, pretty much does exactly what it says. Gives you all temperatures, voltages, clock speeds, etc. for all your devices that are hooked up. And this one here, CPU-Z, just tells you stuff about your CPU and your system in general. Got your motherboard there, memory, you got your graphics card, and we can do this little bench test over here. And we've got crystal disk info. I'll show you some more stuff with CPU-Z soon. So we've got our hard drive, we've got our SSD, and we've got my SSD. As you can see, oh, you can't really see that. So it's got all this information here, how many times it's been turned on, how many hours it's been on. There's the brand new one, and the brand new hard drive. We can also test the speeds of our drives, so we can go and test our SSD for our Windows installation and other apps. And back over here, we can go to submit and compare in CPU-Z, and you can compare your CPU to the hierarchy of other CPUs. So here's the 10700KF, so it's basically better than like everything. There's only like a couple of really high-end CPUs that are kind of above it. And multi-thread, as you can see there. This is without any overclocking. A lot of these people would be overclocking. So, it's still better than most 8-core CPUs. Here's our SSD speeds, nice and fast. GeForce Experience, so you can update your graphics card drivers easily. Intel Extreme Tuning Utility lets you tune your CPU settings because you have an unlocked and overclockable CPU. We've got the benchmarks, Heaven, Valley, and we're missing Superposition. Let me fix that. And VLC is like the Swiss Army knife of media players. If it won't play a video file, it's probably a virus. Okay. We can see nice and fast for our SSD. And I'll just set up MSI Afterburner and Reaver Tuner. So there's our RTX 3080 Ti. Here's that updated graphics card driver. And we can set this up. Make sure our fans ramp up when it gets warm. Don't want our card running too hot. I'm just selecting the statistics that I want to see in our overlay. And this is always Control F10, Control F11 and Control F12. So if you want to turn your overlay on and off, it's Control F12 to turn it off and Control F11 to turn it on. That update for Reaver Tuner. There's our CPU temps looking. Nice and cool. Getting down to 27 degrees on some of the cores. Yeah, we'll do a reboot. A couple of things want to reboot there. And then we can have a look at some benchmarks. We'll do the stress test and that'll be it for the night. Okay. And definitely got all those pesky cumulative updates. There's always more. Okay. Yep. Alrighty. Let's have a look at some benchmarks. Okay, so this number here below RAM, this is how many frames a second it's running at. What's that? Alex Borden says it's so cool seeing individual components being put up together to make something so cool. Yeah. Yeah, well, a lot of people like it, and you know, in this day and age, people are paying for the experience. You know, they don't just want to buy something; they want to get something more from that purchase experience, and being able to see it be put together in front of your eyes and being able to pick all your components and stuff like that ticks a lot of boxes for people. And you know, the IT industry is not known for being overly transparent with people, and I'm trying to do the opposite of that. So what's the side look like? Like the back side? Yeah, it's come up alright. Just making a mockery of the benchmark, of course, being a 3080 Ti. Ah. Look at that, 516 frames a second. Oh, awesome. Well, yeah, glad you like it, Meg. She looks beautiful, if I do say so myself. Alright, so we run this one on Ultra. Look at that. It's not even being fully utilized. It was sitting at like 40% utilization before. It can't. This benchmark can't keep up with the card. We're being bottlenecked by the actual benchmark. Okay. Alrighty, the last one we do is a 4K benchmark. Oh, not 8K. I don't bother doing 8K ones just because, like, no one games at 8K. So the other two are DirectX 11 rendering mode, and this is DirectX 12 here. Well, it's looking pretty good, so looks like I'll be able to ship this out tomorrow. Well, Mick's not going to like this if he sees the. Oh, he can't see the stats on it. I'll wait till the final number. Have you ever had something damaged by accident after shipping? Not really, no. I mean, see, when I ship PCs, I pack the internals of the case with anti-static foam, so nothing can move around. And then it goes in a box, and then it's got more foam and padding around it inside the box. Unless it gets like run over or like dropped from a serious height, it's probably going to be fine. And even if it gets dropped, it'll probably be a case of it'll just be the glass panel on the side that would break, and everything else would be fine. So, in which case it's just, you know, you just buy another case. That's why I generally don't sell people insurance for shipping, because if something's going to break, yeah, it's probably going to be that glass panel, and just buying a new case is probably going to be cheaper than the insurance. So yeah, it's beat the 6900 XT from last night by about 300 points there. So not much. So you can kind of think of this card as roughly on par with the 6900 XT. Okay. So now we're on to the final part of the night. This is where we do the actual stress. So beforehand, I'm looking at these temps. We haven't gotten over 55 degrees. And our graphics card, we haven't even got to 50 degrees on the card itself. We've only got 50 degrees on the hotspot. Alright. Let's load up some serious work. Just minimize that, and let's get some CPU carnage set up. Alright. So I'll explain what we're doing here. Okay. So we've got hardware monitor here. We're tracking all the temps. We've got a nice easy overlay on the screen here that's showing me all the key information. As we go down here to our graphics card, we can see it's on like 99% utilization, nearly 100%. So it's getting a workout right now. Our CPU, it's just sort of trucking along there. it's doing okay. But we're going to do the stress test on the CPU. It's going to be a 90-minute stress test. And we're going to click start. Okay. High 60s, yeah, sweet. Alright, so what's going on here? So as you can see here in Task Manager, we've got our 8 cores and 16 threads. So these are, each thread is just like a, think of it like a core where it can work on something individually from the other threads. As you can see here, for this picture, we can see that there are 16 blue boxes that are drawing this picture. Or more accurate word would be calculating this picture. And so these 16 boxes here, these are the 16 boxes that you're seeing up here. And so they're being fully utilized on calculating this image. And obviously we're tracking the temperatures here, making sure that nothing's overheating, and same for our graphics card. As we can see, putting a more stressful workload on it, we're getting much higher temperatures there. Nothing redlining, so that's good. So yeah, now we just let this run for like 90 minutes. So this is usually where I end the stream. So if anyone's got any final questions before I sign off for the night, now is your time to speak. Thanks, Rodney. Have a good night. Have a good night. No worries, man. Alright, everyone. So, yeah, thanks for watching tonight. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Be sure to like and subscribe.